Adia, and I'm excited to bring you another episode of Line Dance Basics, where we're going to be touching base on the very simple parts of line dance, those key tools that you need to learn efficiently and effectively wherever you are, so that you can dance more confidently on any dance floor. All right, so my first tip for this episode is to encourage you to know that each dancer, each individual is going to have their own style. There is no reason that you have to feel like you need to look like someone else on the dance floor, like your hips need to sway, or your feet need to stomp as hard, or your knees need to lift as high, or your arms need to do exactly what theirs are doing or aren't doing. Your style is unique to you, and I want to encourage you to just have fun and enjoy yourself no matter what. Go ahead and create your own style, whether that's big and all out, or if that's smaller, or if that's sulkier, whatever it is. Just be you and enjoy that. You're going to learn to explore your own movement, and if you're focused on yourself and your own style, then it's going to be a lot more positive experience for you. All right, and here's another tip for today. Although we're going to be working on line dance steps, which require looking at feet right now as you learn, the reality is when you are in your bar, your club scene, wherever you're dancing, if you're trying to follow a routine, I want to encourage you to, instead of looking at people's feet, watch more of their shoulders. And the reason I say that is because your feet are going to start to move as you get more clear about the different line dance terminology. You're going to be able to hear your instructor call things out like coaster step, or triple step, or front rock step, or any of the above and all the different variety. And if you're watching feet, you're going to be behind on those steps. Instead, I want to encourage you to watch the shoulders of the people in front of you. If you're following and just kind of trying to follow along routine, watch their shoulders. Hear the step, triple, watch the shoulders. So if it's a triple with a half turn, instead of looking at their feet and watching their feet do a half turn, instead keep your eyes a little bit more neutral, watch more of the shoulder line. You know what a triple step is, so move your feet and turn your body as you see the crowd moving. So this is going to help you to not get dizzy when you're looking down. It's also going to help you to pick up the routines a little bit faster. So let's get into our terminology for today. We're going to work on step taps and slide taps. All right, these could also be called step touches. The point is, when you're doing a tap or a touch, you don't want to put weight onto your foot. That would be a stomp. A touch is just kind of barely touching your toe. All right, basically like a spring. You're hitting the ground and it's coming right back up. So let's try a right tap. Tap. Touch would be more of a same kind of thing, except for you may not have the spring part afterwards. So a touch would be touch right here versus a tap. Touch, tap. Let's try it with a step. So we step side. How about a tap, tap, and side, tap. Again, side, tap, side, tap. Let's try that with a touch. 5, 6, 7, 8. Side, touch. Notice I'm not picking my foot up. Side, touch. Side, touch. Side, touch. Now, depending on where you go and who you're learning from, these words and terminology might vary slightly, but these are the general ideas, and they're definitely steps that will be in lots of different line dances that you learn. We can also take that step and turn it into a slide. So that would look like this. Slide, touch, slide, touch, slide, touch, slide, touch. Step taps and touches can also go to different directions. So let's try a few different directions. We'll do all touches for this one. So let's take our right foot and go to the back diagonal. 5, 6, 7, 8. Step, touch, back, step, touch. Again, step, touch, and step, touch. I would say in the majority of situations, when you do a touch or a tap, it's going to happen right next to your other foot. A lot of times, just because of the comfort of maybe your hip placement or your knees, you're gonna wanna tap out here. I would say, unless the choreography calls for that, err on the side of keeping your foot nice and close. All right, that way you're ready for the next step. Can we try taps to a different direction? Or let's try some slides with a tap. Let's go to the front diagonal with the slide. We're gonna go front diagonal and then back diagonal. And we're gonna do a tap. That means up and down. 5, 6, 7, 8. Slide, tap, back, slide, tap, and slide, tap, and slide. How'd you do? Feel free to rewind and back up and try it again and again until this terminology becomes more secure in your brain. All right, let's do one more step for this episode. We're going to do a step pivot. When you do a pivot, you're going to step forward, and then without moving your feet, you're going to shift your body. That shift might be a quarter turn, a half turn, or even a 3/4 turn. But either way, it's a pivot. And in a pivot, we don't move our feet to turn. So once we're in place, everyone step forward with your right. Let's do a quarter pivot to the 9 o'clock wall. Quarter pivot. Can we do another quarter pivot? How about another one, which leaves me a little crossed? Let's try that again. I'm going to step forward with your right. Let's do a half pivot. So all the way around 180 to 6 o'clock. Good. Step forward again with your right. And another half pivot. Now we're at 12 o'clock. Pivot turns happen very often in line dances, and your weight will shift depending on what the next step after the choreography is. So in this case, we step forward with our right, and then I pivot, and I told you to step forward with your right again. That means when I turn around, I need to shift my weight onto my left foot so that my right is ready to step into the next step. Right, pivot. Let's say I was going to do something different that required me to keep my weight onto my back foot. So that would look like this. Step, pivot. Now my weight is on my back foot. Now I can go into something like a coaster step. My left foot is free, coaster step. Let's try that again. So here we are at 12 o'clock. I want to encourage you, let's all turn around to 6 o'clock, and we're going to do a half pivot with our right foot. All right, so face the other way. Here we go. Right foot steps forward. Half pivot, weight on your right, so that means my left leg is free, into a coaster step. Let's try that again. 5, 6, 7, 8. Step, pivot, coaster step. Step, pivot, coaster step. So now you can see how we can take pivot turns when, depending on the choreography, your weight would be shifted forward or backward, depending on what comes next. Make sure to back up and practice the steps that we did previously in this lesson and get familiar with that terminology. Remember, as mentioned in another line dance basics tutorial, we talked about repeating the choreography or repeating the terminology as the instructor is teaching you. That way, it becomes ingrained in your brain and you really start to associate the terms with the actual movements. Thanks for watching, and make sure to check out our other episodes, and we'll see you again soon.